Hey guys, wanted to do a little something different today. Been getting pretty big into this One Piece trading card game and wanted to do some, rankings of what I think these cards are worth and if they're a good deal or overpriced or anything. I know a lot of people do this, but they mainly like doing competitive stuff. I'm not really into playing the game too much. I'm really just a fan of collecting the cards. I think there's a lot of really good artworks that One Piece does, and kind of wanted to share my opinions on it. So let's go ahead and get started. I mainly gonna do alt arts and super rares, just 'cause I think that's really the only thing that if you're collecting it that would only thing that really pique your interest. Go and start off with super rares, mainly going off TCG player price. Yeah, so this key name on right here, I mean, nothing crazy going on here. Only worth 42 cents though, so I mean, can't really go wrong with that. So I'll just go ahead and put that in a good deal. Um, let's see. Go ahead now. This king. This is why I wanted to, add super rares in here. A lot of people don't really care about super rares, but I mean, the artwork on this one, man, that's some top tier artwork right there, and only 62 cents. I mean, I'd put this in great deal. Honestly, I could see that going up much more once this goes out of print and people stopped really caring about competitive and all that stuff. Um, Crocodile, another, pretty basic one. Nothing crazy going on here. 69 cents. I'll just go ahead and throw that in. Good deal if I can find it. Let's see. Yeah, we'll just go ahead and throw that in there. This Kaido one, too. Pretty, I mean, again, nothing super crazy, but better than just, character sitting there doing nothing. So I'll throw that in great deal for less than $1. I mean, can't go wrong with that. This Zoro one, I mean, it's Zoro. It's obviously gonna be worth a little bit more. So for $1.80, I mean, I don't know. These super rares in the I'm mainly going off what I think these cards should be worth 5, 10 years down the road, or whether or not they're a good investment or not. These super rares, they could either be worth a good amount or they could be worth 10 cents each. I mean, it's kind of hard to say. So when picking these up, I'm not trying to pay a ton of money for it, especially if I know it's mainly being used in the TCG, and that's why the price is a little bit high. But for Zoro, I'd be fine paying $1.83. It's a Zoro. It's one of the first cards created, and obviously wanted to start off with OPO1 just because that's where it all started and everything. So don't mind that Zoro card. Monkey D. Luffy sitting at 239. Price hasn't peaked at $5. I mean, yeah, like I said, I don't really want to be paying too much for these supers, but for Luffy, yeah, I'll still put it in good deal. Let's see now, Law, another one where it's nothing crazy's going on, and a lot of these earlier sets in One Piece, they didn't really do too much, crazy stuff with the super rares, but in the future, they definitely picked it up a little bit. Law sitting at $3 was a $30 card. Again, that's obviously just because it was super playable. Dropped down to $3. I mean, I'd still pay it just because it's Law. Everyone likes Law in the future. It's gonna go up in price. This Mihawk card right here. Now this is a very good artwork. I'm a huge fan of this. Sitting at $4.91, coming down from $10. I'd probably just want to wait a little bit longer on it, see if you could get it for about $3.50. I'd really like that. But really, really good card. I'll actually put it up in good deal just because I wouldn't be opposed to picking it up for around $5 just because of how cool that artwork is. And obviously, Mihawk is a very well known character. This boa here, definitely a pretty cute artwork, sitting at $4.65, peaking at $10. I mean, if you're a big fan of boa, I mean, I definitely am. Probably would want to hold off. Just I'm not. I don't know how I want to be paying $5 for this, so probably put that in slightly overpriced. Let's see, finishing off on the super rares. This Captain Kidd here, now obviously super playable card. No one would be paying $23 for this unless it was, obviously a pretty busted card in the TCG. I'm definitely not paying this much for a super rare. If this is a card you pull and you're not into playing the TCG at all, definitely a really good card to sell. If you go to a local store or whatnot, they'll definitely give you a good amount for it. But yeah, I would definitely not recommend holding on to this long term if you were a collector such as myself. So think that finishes it up with super rares. We'll go ahead and head on over to the alternate arts. Let's see down here. I think we'll be starting off with believe it is going to be this Jack alt art. I mean, definitely pretty cool art. Jack is a very minor character in One Piece. I mean, obviously a beast pirate and whatnot. First beast pirate we saw. Pretty interesting character. Not super crazy about the art, but I mean, for only $4, someone was willing to pay $27 for it back in January. So, I mean, has potential to go up. Can't go wrong with a $4 alt art, though. So, I'll put that in good deal. I probably wouldn't want to pay any more than $7-8 for it. So, $4 for it, I'm pretty happy with that. Next is going to be this Shanks Secret Rare. And I think this is pretty slept on. I mean, $4.80 for it. And like I said, I'm thinking about this in 5-10 years from now. And I get the pull rates very high on these secrets. And that's why it's this low. But I mean, this artwork can't go wrong with it. Gold border. It's got the flame in the background there. For $4.86, that's pretty good. I'll put that up in great deal. Next going to be this Queen. Not a huge fan of Queen. I mean, pretty cool character when he was there, but also kind of annoying. For $5 though, I mean he's obviously been dipping and everything, as pretty much every One Piece card has done. Pick him up for, is he $10 or is he $5? Oh, that's lightly played. Pick him up for $5. Not bad at all. I'll put that in good deal. Just, yeah, not much to say about him. Now, Kinemon, not a huge fan of this artwork. Looks kind of weird. I mean, I don't know. It's just a little bit off on that. Kinemon's pretty cool. Sitting at $5. I mean, like I said, you can't go wrong with a $5 alt art. Next, we'll go to this Ulti. I'm a huge fan of this artwork, and I've seen it in person. This artwork definitely pops at you for $8.75, going up to from $7. I mean, it's a beautiful card. Ulti, I wish they used her more. I really like her design. Really cool character. I will give that a great deal just because I think it's very slept on. Now we will do this Crocodile. Now I have not seen this one in person, but I can only imagine the texture they have on it with all these grains of sand. I really really like this artwork, and I have, you know, there's a lot more crocodile artworks out there that I'm a lot more fan of, but for less than $10, I mean that's less than a pack, so definitely can't go wrong with that. I would definitely pick that up if I were you. This king alt art here, not a huge fan of, just because I don't really like the floating heads. That might just be a me preference. I think they also, not sure what they did with King's face here. Looks a little bit off, but not the worst alt art. 950. I mean, I think that there's better King artworks out there. I think in the future it's going to drop down a little bit. We'll do this Kaido one next. Pretty cool artwork actually. I'm a pretty big fan of the dragon in the background. His face does look a little bit off, and that is an issue that One Piece has had, which I wish they would fix. Is just the faces just not looking anything like they should. Regardless, though, sitting about 14.50, down from $41 back in May. I mean, if you were just going off this, I'm not super familiar with what's going on in the TCG, but you were picking this up for 41 to collect. I mean, definitely not something I'd pay $41 for, but 14. I just think there's better cards out there. I'll put that at good deal for now. Kind of teetering and slightly overpriced, but I think One Piece will, I have some pretty good faith in One Piece. I think it'll be worth a good amount someday. So $15 now could be, $100 in the future. So kind of hard to say. This Yamato, again, not a huge fan of. Just, basic anime style. This is what she looks like in the anime. Not really any creative artwork going on here. For $15, I mean, if you're a big Yamato fan, pick it up. But me personally, I would not pay that much for that card. Shanks alt art. This one's a little bit tricky. Obviously, Shanks is one of the most popular characters in the TCG, anime, anything, and I'm not a huge fan of this artwork though, just because I'm not a fan of just throwing whatever the manga was, whatever the manga alt art is, on a different background and calling it a day. I don't hate this background. It's just a little bit lazy for me, but for $16, it's going up as well. I mean, if you could find it for around $15, I'd say that's a pretty good deal. So, yeah, I'm not sure on that one. Could go either way with this, but it's Shanks. Shanks will always do good, so can't go wrong with it. Next, we will move on to one of my favorite cards in the set. This card, I'm very surprised this card is this cheap. I mean, $25 for this amazing artwork of Luffy nonetheless. I mean, in my opinion, this should probably be one of the chases in the set. I mean, this artwork here is insane. Peaking at $70 all the way down to 23. I mean, I think this card's super slept on. I could see that going crazy places in the future. We'll do the Sanji one. Same thing here. $30 for this. I mean, there are many other $30 cards in this TCG that are much worse than this, and I mean, this is just beautiful. Year high being $60, been dropping down since. Yeah, I mean, $30 on that, I'd definitely pick that up for sure if you can find it for that price. This law here, I mean, it's Trafalgar Law. I'm not a huge fan of this artwork. I don't really, there's just not really anything going on in the background. Kind of basic artwork. I mean, it's still a cool little, cool little pose he's doing, but for 30 bucks, I mean, I'd take that Luffy and Sanji over this one anytime. Has been going up though, so yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard to tell with a lot of these cards just because you're not these prices are also for the TCG, so you kind of have to predict if you're collecting it for the long term, you kind of have to predict which card is going to die after the TCG goes out of play and what card is going to go up. Like I said, I'm not super familiar with what the TCG is. It might be that this card is playable and that's why it's this expensive, but I mean in my eyes this should be about a $20 alt art. But I don't know. Some people like Law, so I'll throw this in. I'll throw this in slightly overpriced. Maybe it'll grow on me, but just not a huge fan of it. Next, we will go on to another one of my favorite artworks, Dracula Mihawk. I mean, guys, this artwork here, I mean, Mihawk, one of the earliest characters in One Piece, one of the most hyped up characters in One Piece. Beautiful alt art here for $35, $36. Peaked at $140. I mean, going to show someone was willing to pay this much for it. I mean, down to 35. I would definitely pick up that, even a few copies if you could. I mean, that card is severely underpriced in my opinion. Um, Go ahead and move on to the first leader. Now, thinking about this in the future, right? These leaders are really only designed to be played in the TCG. A lot of them do look cool, but a lot of them are also just copy and paste from the manga onto a card. So some of the artworks are really good. I'm a pretty big fan of this one, but it's kind of hard to tell how much they're going to be worth in the future. Maybe someone I can see a lot of people wanting to go back and collect all of the leader alt arts and whatnot. But me personally, if I'm trying to compare them to something, I'd probably compare them to the early full arts in Pokemon, right? Where some of them, especially the super early ones, are worth a pretty decent amount. But eventually, as XY goes along and Sun and Moon goes along, kind of lose interest just a little bit, and we're now where we're at, they're kind of not really collected at all. But it's definitely interesting to it's going to be interesting to see what these do. I would honestly be fine paying $40 for this card. I mean, this is even investing in it. I think this is pretty interesting. I really like the purple background on it. King is such a cool looking character. I think it definitely will dip down in price, but thinking about it long term, I would say it's a good deal. I mean, I would say so, but next year or so, I could see this being a $20 card, but like I said, in the future, I could definitely see it, rising back up. We'll go ahead and do the Kozuki Odin. Not a huge fan of this one. I mean, I really like Odin as a character, but I mean, there's just not really too much crazy going on here, and for almost $50, I mean, you can buy a lot cooler stuff for $50 that will definitely have more value in the future than this. So I would say I'd honestly put it in overpriced, just because I know not too many people are fans of Odin. I mean, he's a really cool character, but gotta think about it. We will do Don Quixote do Flamingo. This card is sick. I don't care what you say. I would be happy paying $50 for this card any day. I mean, I pulled this myself, thankfully, but whew, this is a sick card, guys. I mean, this probably the best Don Quixote alt art or artwork in the TCG right now. So peaking at 87, down to 48, even after all the one piece drops, it's still only gone down about $40, about not even half its value. So I could definitely see the shooting back up. So I'm gonna put this in good deal for now, but definitely gonna keep an eye on it. Let's go ahead and go over to the crocodile alt art. Nothing crazy going on here. I also pulled this myself. Um, Not sure. I think honestly I can see Crocodile becoming a very major character in the future in the anime. So that will definitely bring a lot more, like to the character. So thinking about it that way, I mean, paying $48 for a card right now might seem a little bit high, but you know, like I said, I think he could come back. He could come in and do some crazy stuff, make a bunch of people like him. But I'm still going to put in a slightly overpriced for now, just because if I'm not playing the game, I don't really want to be paying this much for a leader card. So I'll pass on that one. Um, this is another super sleeper pick. I mean, this card, huge Yamato fan. This artwork is beautiful. Probably one of the best artworks we've ever gotten. Peaked at $160 and is being sold for $50 right now. I mean, I think this is super slept on. I think 5-10 years down from the road, this could be like a $500 card, if I'm being honest. So, great deal, in my opinion. You can't go wrong with that. So, next we'll move on to the Kaido. Not a huge fan of this one. Pretty basic. There's a lot cooler panels of Kaido they could have picked. Being 110 not even that long ago, 160. I mean, the reprints just destroyed this card down to 55. I could see it going down way more, so I'm throwing that in straight up overpriced. Then we'll do the Boa Hancock. I mean, it's Boa, guys. Boa's always going to be one of the most, expensive cards out there, so paying $60 for it. $152 peak. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of this artwork, but I mean, I know some guys fiend over her, so I mean, I could definitely see a lot of people wanting to pay that. I'd probably say it's slightly overpriced. I'd really only want to pay about $40 for that, but I mean, we'll see. Maybe she'll go down after Romance Dawn is out of the TCG. Next, we'll do the Captain Kidd alt art. I really do like this one. I love all the lightning go around. I'm a huge Kid fan as well. I love the artwork, love the design. Paying 65 for it though. Was 110. It's tricky. I'm gonna say it's slightly overpriced. I'd probably want to pay about 55 for that one. So it's something I'm gonna keep on my radar for sure. Next we got this Roanoa Zoro for $77. I mean, again, Zoro's going to be one of those characters that no matter what card they make of him, he's always going to be up there in price. Someone was willing to pay $140 for it though, so I don't know. Artwork's pretty cool. It's a little tough. I'm gonna put it in overpriced. There are cards that look very similar to this that are about $20-$30, so really cool card. I definitely want to just keep an eye on it, see if it gets down to the $50 range. And I'll probably pick one up if it gets around there. Get into the really big heavy hitters now. Monkey D. Luffy leader alt art sitting at 131 right now, down from 300 in January. I mean, thank God all these cards did drop. I mean, I don't know anyone in their right mind that should be paying $300 for this card. Really cool card though. I think it should be sitting around. I think it'll probably get down to the in the next 6 months or so. I think it'll probably get down to about 110. So I do want to keep an eye on it though, but I do think this is one of the leaders that in the future is going to be very, very sought after. So I would be very comfortable paying 130 for it, but I do just want to keep an eye on it and see if it keeps going down. But he's got the black cape on him. I mean, probably one of Luffy's best fits of all time. So I mean, can't go wrong with that. I definitely like picking that up. Got the Nami alt art now. Like I said, Nami is also one of those characters that's always going to be one of the most sought after, for obvious reasons. She was almost $400 back in January, and now you can find her for about 180, and she is going back up even after all of the drops. She's going up a pretty good amount, about 15 bucks. Would I want to pay 185 for this though? I mean, if you're really into Nami, I do really like the artwork on it. It's just $180 for it. I'm not sure. I'm gonna go ahead and throw it in overpriced. I want to keep an eye on it, see what happens to it. I mean, it is the first Nami card. I'll put it in slightly overpriced. If you, I want to, I'd pick it up if it was about 150 maybe. Even then, it's kind of pushing it. It's not really in my top radar at all. So I mean, it's something I'm gonna keep my eye on for a few months. But I don't hate paying almost 200 for it just because I know 10 years from now people are gonna want it. So very interesting card. Got the Zoro alt art peaking at about 350, sitting about 227 right now. I'm not sure if Zoro is a very playable card right now, but I cannot imagine someone paying almost double what the Luffy leader was for Zoro. I mean, if that's just me, I would not pay this much for Zoro. Like I said, don't know if he's playable or not. Pretty interesting artwork. Would not want to pay any more than 150 for it though. So I'm definitely going to throw that in overpriced. It's definitely been going down too, so something to keep an eye on. If it does get around that price, probably would pick him up. 3 cards left, sitting with the Trafalgar Law. Also been dropping down like crazy. Peaked at about 420. I mean, guys, realistically, there are cards that 100% should be worth that much, and this is not one of those cards. So, still sitting at 244. I'm not a huge fan of it. So, again, it's Law. Law is going to be one of those people that everyone loves. I love him. So, pretty cool artwork there. Again, wouldn't want to pay any more than 150 bucks for it though. Finally, the last leader. I mean, same thing I've been saying. No shot. I'm paying $250 for a card that really does not have a chance of staying relevant in the future. I mean, you have Luffy, Zoro, and Law, and I can see how those hold value. I do think Doflamingo obviously is one of the best villains we've gotten in One Piece and all that, but I cannot see him sitting that high for 5-10 years after this point. So he has been going up. He even after the boom, he really only went down 50 bucks, which is really good. It kind of tells me he's pretty playable. Um, Sorry about that. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not paying 250 for that, so that's going overpriced. Now, finally, something that will always be out of my price range and that I will never be able to afford, but we'll always talk about, are the mangas. Probably the second best manga we've ever gotten. reflects it in the price. Still sitting, even after all the scary stuff about the best set and all the manga reprints. Still sitting about $1,800, and I think this is, no matter what mangas we get in the future, this is I always gonna be top five, probably top three. So paying $1,800 for it now, I could easily see this card being about 10,000 in the future, just because it's Shanks, just because of how rare it is. I mean, I'd definitely pick one up. I'd say it's probably a good deal, something that's out of hundreds of thousands of people's price range. But if you can afford it, I'd pick it up for 1,800. Maybe watch and see if it gets down to 1,500, but I'd be fine paying that if I had the money, which I do not. And finally, we will be talking about the booster box itself. Now, all One Piece booster boxes right now are falling, which is fantastic. I will be picking up several of them just because of how cheap they are. I have very good faith in the future that One Piece will do very good, and these booster boxes sit in about 100, 150 right now for across the board. I mean, that's really good. This sent about 232. Now TCG Player did all this stupid stuff with this one, so they pretty much wiped out all the data they had on it, but did come back up. Dipped down about 229 not too long ago. Sitting about 230. I could be out of the door for one for about 260, 270 after tax. So I'd be fine with that. I mean, it's the first set. You can't go wrong with it. I mean, imagine being able to pick up a base set booster box back in the day. I mean, everyone would want to go back and pick that up. So, like I said, I'm thinking very much long term here. First set ever released, pretty good set too. So I mean, I'm definitely gonna be picking one up. But yeah, that's all I got for you guys. So I just wanted to share my thoughts a little bit and kind of make a tier list for myself. And for anyone else that's interested, probably not too many people, but still just wanted to go ahead and do it and keep an eye on these cards and see what they do, see if my list changes at all, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So I will be out of here.